Humans have always been curious about the nature of everything that is observable. Scientific instruments have expanded our ability to see distant galaxies, black holes, molecules, atoms and their parts, even evidence of subatomic particles. We are now seeking to understand the relationships of the big and the small, the near and the far. Answers to questions long sought. And we are finding some things in which in our universe we have never thought of before. It is in this realm of inquiry that Dr. Erika Ellingson works. She is an associate professor of the Department of Astrophysics and Planetary Sciences at the University of Colorado Boulder. She is an international researcher and author whose interests include cosmology, dark matter, dark energy, galaxies and galaxy clusters. She is a frequent observer with the Hubble Space Telescope and a regular invited speaker at international conferences on astrophysics. Dr. Ellingson is married and has 2 children. Let me introduce Dr. Erika Ellingson.
Thank you. Is this microphone working? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak with you today. And I'd like to take the next few minutes to invite you guys to come and join me on thinking about the universe, thinking about things that are really outside of our normal experience. What I'd like to tell you about today are some new discoveries and some new mysteries that have been appearing to us from the universe. And this idea that the universe as we know it now is very different from the universe we might have imagined even 10 years ago, and is in fact a dark universe. Now, I will tell this as a story, and the story begins nearly 100 years ago, and it starts off with the monumental figure of Albert Einstein. He gave us what is really our fundamental framework for understanding the universe, the whole universe, in a general context, with his theory of relativity. With relativity, he was able to give us a new way of looking at gravity, and one of the really important and really beautiful aspects of his theory is the idea that space, the framework of space itself, can stretch, can bend, can curve. When we think about space, it really is like a changing, malleable substance, really not the same rigid grid of lines that we might imagine space to be. And this is the first lesson, the first way to start to change perhaps your way of looking at the universe. Now, the other monumental figure that really set us on our way to understanding the universe today is Edwin Hubble. In the 1920s, he was working on the largest telescope at the time, the 100-inch Hooker telescope, which is on a mountain outside of Pasadena, now, alas, overlooking the LA basin with all of its lights. But in the 1920s, Hubble discovered that the universe was expanding. Now, this was something that no one had actually predicted. In fact, Einstein could have predicted and didn't, a matter which he was always rather chagrined to admit. But he found out that the universe was actually seems to be stretching, expanding in all different directions. What he saw with his telescope is that when he looked at galaxies nearby, he saw that they're all going away from us at a moderate clip. Galaxies far away were going away from us even faster. In fact, the whole universe looked like it was going away from us. Now, there are 2 ways you can interpret this. One is that we ourselves live at the very center of the universe, and as my son would say, we have cooties. Everyone's trying to get away from us. But probably a better way of looking at this goes back into Einstein's ideas, which he had established by the 1920s, and think about space as expanding. The way I'd like you to think about this is that space, you can pattern it with a grid of anything you want. You can make little parallel lines. You could put wallpaper on it if you'd like. But imagine that the pattern is expanding. It's expanding in all different directions. This is one way of looking at it here with a balloon that is getting larger and larger and larger with time. We have a bunch of specks, little pennies or little dots drawn on the balloon, and you can pick any one that you want. You choose your favorite, and take a look at all of the others. You'll notice that no matter which penny you choose, all the other pennies are going away from it. So by thinking about the actual fabric of space expanding around us, what we have is an idea of an expanding universe. Well, this is a pretty amazing idea. How can space expand? Where is the universe going to? How is it going to work? Einstein sat down and came up with a couple possibilities for how the universe, the history of the universe, might work over time. And it has just a few simple characteristics. What it has here is, at the present day, the universe is expanding. And so we see the universe going upwards. So the size of the universe is getting bigger and bigger, so you have an upwards trend. But if there's any matter in the universe, and you know there is matter in the universe, we are there,